Upon completion of this video, you will be able to understand terminologies commonly used in ethical research such as what do research, human subjects, ethics review boards, minimal risk, and informed consent mean. You will also be able to differentiate between privacy and confidentiality. All of these terms describe the procedures and requirements of ethical research. Moreover, we are going to discuss challenges that researchers face in their pharmacoepidemiologic research. In addition, you will be familiar with the available guidelines for good pharmacoepidemiology practices. Ethics in research focuses predominantly on protecting human subjects from the risks of research. There has been scandals in research such as researchers' failure to adequately review and disclose research risks and potential benefits and their failure to obtain explicit permission from research subjects. Consequently, an institutional research board review and the practice of informed consent have become essential in research with the goal of minimizing the risks to research subjects rather than maximizing the potential benefits. Due to the nature of pharmacoepidemiology, the research in this field is somewhat different than other types of research. For instance, for the purpose of data analysis, a patient can become a subject without his or her knowledge, and without any direct contact with an investigator. Keep in mind, the risks to the subjects of epidemiology research are not the usual health risks of research that can be balanced against the potential health benefits of research. That is, harm is not the problem in pharmacoepidemiologic research. However, the chief problem is the violation of confidentiality. Researchers must protect patients' privacy and confidentiality in a way that accomplishes research goals accurately and efficiently.
The term research is repeatedly used by investigators and the public without taking notice of true definition of this term. It is extremely important to know the clear and precise comprehension of the term research in order to be able to analyze and interpret any productive analysis of the ethics of pharmacoepidemiology. What does research mean? The U.S. National Commission for the Protection of Human Subjects keep on the oldest definition of this term and summarize research as any activity designed to develop or contribute to generalizable knowledge. This is a definition has become the standard by which a proposed project is assessed. Unfortunately, this definition is particularly problematic in pharmacoepidemiologic research, because it is hard to distinguish between research, required to undergo ethics review board review, where a series of requirements to protect human subjects must be met, and the routine practice of epidemiology, not generally considered to be a research, produce publishable data, without review by ethics review boards, which is conducted for the purpose of creating generalizable knowledge of a health case finding and surveillance for adverse drug reactions, quality assurance activities of health plans or hospitals, and seeking to improve the use of medications in their settings. The definition of human subjects is as elusive as the definition of research on which it depends. According to definition given by the Common Rule, a set of federal regulations that govern research ethics, research subject is a living individual, about whom an investigator conducting research obtains either data through intervention or interaction with the individual or identifiable private information. The key issue here is that the use of information that can be linked to an individual constitutes a contact between an investigator and a human subject.
Ethics review boards have become central to the practice of research. Institutional Review Board or IRB is a committee required to review all researches that are funded by all federal government branches that have signed to the Common Rule. Examples of these federal agencies are National Institutes of Health or NIH, Food and Drug Administration or FDA, and Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality or AHRQ. In some cases, there is no need to expend unnecessary institutional review board resources. However, a designated member of the IRB could do the review instead of a full committee. This includes the type of research in which the risks are truly minor, the research fulfills basic subject protections, and it does not involve human subjects. Now, what I'd like you to do is to pause for a moment and go over this question 3 and think of the difference between privacy and confidentiality, and write your thoughts down in the comments box. So let's take a break for a minute, and I'll have you do that question, and we'll come back. Great. Welcome back. I hope that it didn't take you too long. In pharmacoepidemiologic research, privacy and confidentiality are of paramount concern. Although they are often discussed together, they are different concepts. Privacy refers to each participant's right to prevent access to his or her medical records, to be free of unwanted inspection, and to be left alone. On the other hand, confidentiality is when the participant chooses to waive his right of privacy to a healthcare provider by allowing access to his personal medical information. It limits the transfer of information or the use of any information without the permission of the participant. Therefore, the right to confidentiality is not possible unless there is an underlying right to privacy. Now, in order to protect patients' confidentiality, a universal consent is provided to the patient before enrolling in any study. One of the issues faced by the researchers is the need to contact the participant each time their records may be used. In this case, it can severely limit the validity of the research to be done in case the patient was given the control on who can access the data or was given the right to remove his medical records and prevent their use for the research. So, the willingness to provide consent is not random and may vary in a way that may bias study results.
While aiming to provide knowledge, investigators should minimize the risks to subjects. As the risk increases, more protections are needed with ethics reviews board and informed consent. Investigators find it problematic to define the concept of minimal risk. The common rule states that the harm is minimal when it's not greater in magnitude and probability than the one encountered in the subject's daily life. Research subjects should be informed about the nature of the research in terms of benefits, risks, and confidentiality. They should accept to participate voluntarily and can quit any time they want. The informed consent can be written or oral, and it's debatable whether it's required to be obtained or no.
In an effort to deal with the challenges, investigators, governments, and professional associations have developed regulations and guidelines to provide ethical structure to the growing field of epidemiology. The Common Rule is a federal policy regarding human subjects protection that applies to federal agencies. It does not apply to federal agencies that have not signed the agreement, like Department of Labor. My colleague, Ranime, have listed some of the examples of federal agencies that abide by the Common Rule. The main elements of the Common Rule include requirements for assuring compliance by research institutions, requirements for researchers obtaining and documenting informed consent, and requirements for institutional review board membership, function, operations, review of research, and record keeping. In other words, the Common Rule outlines the criteria and mechanisms for institutional review board review of human subjects research. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act or HIPAA Privacy Rule explains how to use, manage, and protect personal health information. International Society for Pharmacoepidemiology or ISP have developed guidelines for good pharmacoepidemiology practices.